It's the boy, Bubba, let's coming through. Hella clutch, flawless, can't be touched. It's your boy, Bubba, let's. Yeah, I need that hot take. I need the truth and everything that is not fake. So tell me.
Welcome back, Bubba Bunch, to another edition of the Bubba Let's Sports Podcast. It is episode 231, and today, I've been waiting for this one for a while. It's the hot takes, predictions, way too early predictions of the 2021 season in the NFL, joined by yours truly and the very so handsome Kevin Rios.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my good. Oh my good.
I appreciate the intro. I'm not gonna lie, we've had some pretty scorching hot takes ready, or predictions. You're more of the hot takes person. I'm more of the predictions, but
some would say I'm the Dan Orlovsky of this podcast.
And some would say that I'm the intelligent one. So it makes sense. Yes. This should be good. I think the ones that I've picked are pretty good. The ones that you've picked, I can't even imagine. I think that's the problem.
Oh, the first one's worse than I thought.
and I think that's the problem. So, you know what? Let's get into it. Thank you for stopping by. Let's hear this guy's just out of this world. Go
Thanks
for
for
it,
coming.
please.
Well,
Thanks for coming.
I think I said in the last podcast, but I want to take it a step further.
Oh, God. Grab a beer for this one, folks.
My first hot take. Well, no, I've said a few first hot takes. I think the first one was the Cowboys one, where I think they're going to be dead last in the division. Is it really a hot take at this point? No. If Dan Orlovsky approves it, then, we kind of just have to get rid of it.
If Dan Orlovsky approves it, then they're going to the Super Bowl. Goddamn.
Yeah, that's the reverse psychology I'm using on Jerry Jones.
Oh,
this is all part of the plan. But
True.
My first hot take of this episode, not the first or not the last, definitely won't be the last. John Gruden will be fired as the Raiders head coach.
Damn.
This is where I take it a step further. He won't even make it through the year.
Damn. Okay.
He will be fired after the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving.
Oh, you mentioned this last time.
Yes.
Wow.
And doing some research on it, brief research, I want to take you back to a quote from 2018 where he first signed that contract of 10 years, a hundo million.
Still can't believe he's the highest paid coach in the NFL. Anyway.
Well, sir, this is where technically he won't be, because in 2018 when he signed that contract, he told USA Today, if I can't get it done, I'm not going to take their money. So technically, he won't be the highest paid coach in the NFL because he never took the money, because he can't get it done. This team is going to be dead last in their division. I think at least Denver is going to be good enough to be not dead last. I don't know what their quarterback situation is, but if Aaron Rodgers is there, whole different ball game, right? Yeah. But for now, we're going with Teddy or Drew. I don't know what the future holds for the Denver Broncos. It's the same story, different year of who's our quarterback? We don't even know. But we have a good overall roster. But I think they'll be third. And then Chargers are going to have an amazing year under the first year of Brandon Staley.
Absolutely.
The offensive line is going to be amazing. Justin Herbert's going to be amazing. And I think their defense is going to be back better than ever. And then, of course, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. So where does that leave the Raiders? Well, you have a really nice stadium where you're never going to win. And what I mean you're never going to win, I'm saying that looking at their record, looking at their schedule, they're going to be 2-15.
Damn.
The only wins I see them having are against Denver, maybe one game against Denver, and then another free ball, maybe Philadelphia. Maybe.
This might sound a bit exaggerated or outlandish to some people, but if you really do your research, this is pretty reasonable. I mean, first of all, your only good facet that you had as a team, as the Las Vegas Raiders, that started deteriorating in the first place, but still decent. You had good names. You got rid of them right after, right as the offseason started. You got rid of your offensive line. Probably the only good thing you had there. Why?
We don't know why.
I don't know.
Because of Kenny Drake? I don't think that's a good enough explanation for it. I don't even think the reasoning behind getting Kenyon Drake when you could have just re-signed Devontae Booker, who was an excellent running back too behind
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs. Yeah.
Like, I think that tandem duo was really interesting to watch. And then, of course, like, they made it work with the wide receivers last year. They basically reincarnated Nelson Aguilar. But now he's gone. They got Tyrell Williams, which is a nice piece from Los Angeles with the Chargers. But it's Darren Waller. It's Darren Waller and everybody else.
Yeah. And then, not even to mention that, who's your defense? Besides Jonathan Abrams, that unfortunately gets hurt every other game when he's really a stud, but he gets hurt. I mean, who else do you have? A bunch of ex-Cowboys that were rejects? I mean...
I thought about this last night. I just remembered it. John Gruden is this season's version of Bill O'Brien. Think about it. You've traded away your best player, which was Khalil Mack, which is right now, I mean, who's their best player? Darren Waller, Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs. Let's think of it this way. Bill O'Brien traded away his best player for absolutely nothing.
So
this is where I got it now. They traded away one of the best players at their position in football, which was Rodney Hudson at center. Bill O'Brien did it with wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins a few years ago. And what did he get back in return? Some picks and a running back. John Gruden traded away for some picks and a running back. John Gruden, Bill O'Brien are just demolishing this franchise and are just ruining careers on a quarterback, Derek Carr, Deshaun Watson. And yet, as the years go on, there seems to be more and more responsibility on Bill O'Brien and on John Gruden to win, to make decisions with the team. And yet, every single time they have something to prove, they get it wrong. So why not end the same way that Bill O'Brien did, which was you had all the power and you just threw it to the garbage, and then you're going to get fired. And you may get another job somewhere else.
Hey, John. Take off your mask.
Oh.
Let's see who's really under there.
Have we seen Bill O'Brien and John Gruden in the same room?
No. No.
He took
hey,
a
John.
job at Alabama.
Hey, John, take off your mask real quick, man. Take off your
I'm
mask.
saying, man. You can't go into a 10-year contract, 4 years in, going... It'll be 2-15 after the year's done, and I don't think John Gruden will go 2-15 because he'll be fired by then. But I'd say he'll be 2-10, 2-11 in like the Thanksgiving time. I think that's pretty accurate, if not, give or so.
Okay.
So he will be down horrendously by Thanksgiving.
Down astronomically is more like
astronomically. And what makes you think that in the next few years, all of that will get better in a tougher division that's only getting better?
Also, one more thing before we move on to the next point. I was very, very confused on draft night, okay? So, with all the possible players that were there at pick number 17 for the Raiders that needed help on the defense, and granted, they needed help on the offensive line. And there were still two really good offensive linemen left. They were right there. They were ready to go. But then they choose this guy, Alex Leatherwood, who could have been there in the second day.
100%. Like, it's not even debatable. Like, he is good.
He's good, but
his
he's
projection was second day.
Yeah. So, if you really think about it, you know, they could have gotten one of these other guys that were still there that were obviously clearly better than him. And they could have gotten him in the second round. Double whammy. But I don't know. I don't know what the thought process was. So that's another thing that I thought about the other night when I was thinking about the Raiders. because we talked about Trevon Moehrig, how he should have been to the Cowboys, but they stole him from us. But yeah, I don't know, man. Well, that's a spicy one to start off the episode. John Gruden,
back to the QB camp.
Hey John, take off your mask, man. Take off your mask, man.
Modern day Bill O'Brien.
Modern day Bill O'Brien. That's a really good comparison. I'm not gonna lie. I like
Thought about it at like 4 a.m. last night. Couldn't sleep.
Okay. All right. Well, since you started off with the hot take, I'll start off with a prediction. Let's keep it a little different, right? My first prediction, and I think me and you might have a little discussion about this, but let's see. You know, I wholeheartedly believe now that he is on an actual team that everything around him, everything is just supporting him in all of his efforts. He has a better wide receiver core. He has a better offensive line. He has the best defense in the league right now. He has a pretty, aspiring young running back, has a good trio behind him. I think Matthew Stafford could be a top 5 quarterback this year. I really do. Let's look at the weapons real quick, all right? Let's look at the weapons. I got it up for you. Let's take a look at this, all right? Matthew Stafford, brand new quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams, second place in the NFC West last year. Let's take a look. Let's see who's this trio. Oh, duo, actually. I guess they got rid of him. That's my bad. Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson Jr. You were a big Darrell Henderson fan last year, if I remember correctly.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
pretty nice.
yeah, you were a fan of him. So you got a good duo, Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson. Look at this wide receiver core. Robert Woods, stud. Am I right?
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp.
Gotta love Coop.
Gotta love some Coop. He had a little injury problem, but gotta love some Coop. You got 3 games of a season, Desean Jackson. Maybe this is the year where he extends it to 5, maybe 6.
See what that core injury does to him.
Exactly. So maybe he extends it 5 or 6. But I think we could all agree that no matter what, Desean Jackson is always going to be a deep threat. Am I right?
He possibly could.
Well, I mean, he proved it last year in those 3 games.
He'll give you highlights. I just don't know if they're going to be consistent enough.
Well, still, he's there. And, okay, Desean Jackson might get another injury, as he usually does, unfortunately. You still got Van Jefferson. That boy
I like Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson is very, very nice. I like him a lot.
I genuinely enjoyed watching Josh Reynolds play. And for them to get rid of him, I was like, I don't really like that move. They get Desean Jackson, and I'm like, okay, I guess you can justify it. I don't even think that it's going to really matter because of how good their tight ends are as well.
Yeah, and that's my next point. Tyler Higbee had a little bit of a slow beginning last season. He was projected to be a top tight end, but he kind of bounced back a little bit. And then you look at his line. Big Wit. I mean, has he ever had a bad season? Ever? Even when he was with the horrific Bengals? Oh, I don't think so.
I mean, this dude literally like has been contemplating retirement for the last few years, and even through injury. I think he played through injury either last season or the year before. I can't really remember.
He played through injury last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this dude is still a solid brick wall. Like, there's no getting through that. And this guy's not even 100%.
Exactly. He's insane.
41, right? He's like
I think he's gonna reach his 40s. Yeah.
He's got to be close to 40 or 41.
Well, either way, amazing. My God. David Edwards, Brian Allen, Austin Corbett, Rob Havenstein. That's a solid offensive line. Way more solid than Lions over there, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, it all falls through Andrew. I think without Andrew, this group is kind of lost in a way.
It's a veteran leadership is the
yes.
point.
Like, yes. It's one of those units to where if one piece is missing, you can't complete the puzzle.
Well, assuming we are talking about this in that context, I just gave you all the facts. And
You also got to think of
dude,
it analytically as far as like the defense giving you more possessions because they will create turnovers.
yeah,
You're going to put up more yards. You're going to put up more touchdowns. So if you think about it that way, yeah.
And, with Jalen Ramsey hyping you up every single time you get out there, I mean, shit, if Jalen Ramsey was my teammate, I'd run through a brick wall. I mean, goddamn. So, look, if Matthew Stafford is not a top 5 quarterback in this league this season with everything I just stated, with all the weapons he has, I don't know what to say because, I mean, it's all there. It's all there, man. Everything is there for him.
It's all there until he gets banged up in week 2.
Stop it! Stop it!
And
Why? Why do you do this?
Surgery, and then
Why do you
he
do
plays
this?
without the surgery, and
Why?
he's not 100%, and then
Why
he
do you
plays
do
the entire
this?
season.
Why?
And then you're like, well,
Stop.
can we like trust him to be our quarterback in the long term because like he can't really stay healthy?
Why are you the way you are? This is all you do.
I'm a Cowboys fan.
All you do is you like to insinuate injuries to these top players. Why? What's wrong with you?
You say it like I always do it.
You do. You
No,
do.
I'm just basing off the facts.
Look, you cannot sit there and tell me that everything I just told you just supports my case.
I'll say top 10 for sure. Top 5 is a reach.
No. He look, man, if Lamar can be top 5 with no freaking wide receivers,
Yeah, but that's different.
I think Matthew
you
can
can't
do it.
compare Lamar Jackson to Matthew Stafford. They are two completely different
In passing
quarterbacks.
yards? In passing yards. Passing yards.
Well, in passing, that's my whole argument. You can't compare it because Matthew Stafford's going to give you passing yards. Lamar Jackson's going to give you running yards. But which one's more fun to watch, really, like on a highlight reel? It's going to be the spin moves. It's going to be the jukes by Lamar Jackson. That's what won him the MVP.
But we're not talking about popularity. We're talking about statistics. And that's why I'm saying that Matthew's going to be top 5.
Aaron,
Patty.
Tom. You didn't think that Tom Brady was a top 5 quarterback last year. You bum. Russell Wilson. Why am I blanking? No, I need my list. I still have my list.
Look, Deshaun is not playing this season.
I had it up already.
Jesus. Deshaun is not playing this season. We all know that.
Mahomes, Rodgers, without Watson, Wilson, Brady, Josh Allen was 6, so he might move up to 5. I have Dak, then Lamar, then Herbert, then Tannehill. Oh, wait, where's Stafford?
You have Stafford as a lion all the way down, brother. Come on.
I have him at 15.
No. I think Matt can be a top 5 quarterback with all the weapons he's
I
got
think
this
top
season.
10 is definitely 100%.
I think top 5 is possible.
Top 5
I really
is
think.
definitely not. I think Dak and Josh have a better season than Matthew Stafford. Statistically.
Maybe. But I think he can
The success of their teams may be different, but I think individually what they put up, I think Dak and Josh Allen put up better numbers.
You might have a fair point. But Matthew Stafford has been in the shitter of Detroit for his whole career. And I think we can all say that if he were somewhere else, dude, there are throws that he makes that if Patty Mahomes did it, it's on ESPN all the damn day, every single day.
You're right. Yeah. No, I'll give you that. I just can't let go of the fact that after 10 years, when he should have left a long time ago. I mean, this should have been a move or a deal that should have been done years ago. That injury history does not just stay in Detroit.
Well, no, of course
follows
it
him.
doesn't. I understand, but like I said, we're talking about a scenario that if he stays healthy enough for the whole entire season, this dude's gonna put up big time numbers. Big time. Now that he actually look, I'm not saying Kenny Golladay wasn't a big time. He was. That's why he got paid what he got paid to go to New York. But I think we could both agree here that Cooper, Robert, Van, and Deshaun are way better than what was that guy's name? Than Kenny, than Marvin, and what was the other guy's name? Quintus Cephas or whatever. Was that his name?
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Come on. No disrespect, but come on. Really?
This is a way better system. I think
Way better system.
Even if you don't have those players, or you can't name the names, it's the system that's better. Because think about how many years in Detroit where they didn't have a running back. They didn't want to run the ball. They just threw the ball more than like 3/4 of the time. And then like the last few years, they're like, oh yeah, we need a running back. And then they got like a bunch of them, and they're like, okay, we're still gonna throw the ball though.
Yeah. Well,
But the system's better with Sean McVay. He'll put him in the right position because really, what are you going to change outside of Jared Goff? Like the system stays the same, and it was successful last year, even with a bum quarterback in Jared Goff. So now you plug in Matthew Stafford. If he's healthy, this team's going to be really damn good.
and there's going to be a lot of numbers put up. That and I think he could edge into that top 5. I really do.
Fine.
All right, man. Look at you.
Fine.
Relax. All right. Please, sir, grace us with your second prediction.
My first prediction.
Oh, your first prediction. That's right.
episode.
Sorry. Your first prediction.
I'm ready to commit. I wasn't ready last year. It may have been too little too late. JoJo.
Okay.
But the Cleveland Browns are making the AFC Championship.
3 years ago, I would have laughed at you. 3 years ago, I would have checked you into a mental asylum.
Really, at this point last year, you could have laughed at me too. Did we even expect the Browns to like make it out of their division last year at this point?
Well, look, let's be fair. I think to a certain extent, after that loss to the Washington football team, I think we all knew the Steelers were a big fluke, no matter what.
Yeah, they weren't real.
So they weren't real. So we all knew that at the end of the day, it was going to be if the Browns can be that third team out of the division to make it. And they did. They made it. Now, though, I mean, the Browns had a pretty good draft, right? They got Greg Newsome the second. I mean,
Did they have a good draft? Are you kidding me? They got the steal of the draft. I need to pull up the name because I can't say it off the top of the dome. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Yes.
God damn, he's so damn good.
yes. So now they got him. They got Greg Newsome. They got other players, but those are the two highlight players.
Grant Delpit coming back from injury, so it's really his rookie season.
You beat me to it. I was about to say that.
John Johnson, great acquisition. Now they're
Yes.
free safety. Jadeveon Clowney.
That's good for like half the season, but maybe it'll be the latter of the season that it'll come out.
This is his last shot. Like, really, if we look at Jadeveon Clowney's career, it's a bust. It is a absolute failure. He didn't work out in Houston. He didn't work out in Tennessee. He didn't work out in pretty much every other place because he's been around the block. If he can't work in Cleveland, I don't know where he works out. But all I'm saying, man, is this defense was good last year.
This team is going to be better this year.
This defense is top 5 defense for me. I'm ready to say it. I think their
Possibly,
secondary is probably
yeah.
one of the best in the NFL. And now that they have some help up front for Myles Garrett, oh, dear Lord. Oh, my God. Not only are they the best team in this division, I think they're one of the best teams in the AFC.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, the evidence is there.
And if we're basing it off of last year, they were a touchdown away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
Some technicalities in there, but let's just say they hung on with the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a big accomplishment for a team that literally had no playoff hopes coming into last season.
Yeah.
And this was something I want to talk about before the podcast started, but I'm going to throw it to you right now.
Oh, God.
What
Okay.
if we put up a trade?
Oh,
I don't think Odell works in Cleveland.
okay.
I think Jarvis Juice Landry is the guy. I think they have plenty of weapons in the backfield, some great tight ends, but maybe, just maybe, another wide receiver would really help Baker Mayfield. So how about this? How about, I think there's a guy in Atlanta that kind of want to leave.
Oh, my God.
So why not just do player for player? No need for a first rounder. You get a younger, more explosive wide receiver for your future, and you give them the old Julio Jones in exchange for Odell Beckham Jr.
That's a trade and a half.
Look, you know, Cleveland, they've welcomed Odell with open arms after New York, and they said, "Look, man, this is your group. This is your core. We're building it off around you." Jarvis said, "Nah, I'm gonna take it for my success." And Odell's been injury prone, has been nothing but a diva. He's nothing but a diva. I think Cleveland could go without Odell. I think a lot of teams could go without Odell. But Atlanta, though, why not Odell, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley? Doesn't that sound good for Matt Ryan's last few years in the NFL?
You know what sounds like the most horrifying thing for AFC North defenses? A revitalized, a rejuiced, a freak of nature wanting revenge. Yeah. In Julio Jones just making a statement in Cleveland. That sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good for Cleveland. That sounds horrifying for everybody else.
You're not committed to him long term because he's 32 years old. He's got a lot of injuries, but it's worth taking the shot when you're making that playoff push.
I mean, I think we could say that last year probably started the window for the Browns. Is that safe to say?
Absolutely, because their offense was not ready yet to be a top tier offensive unit. But I think their improvements on offensive line have really pushed that forward.
Exactly, and yet they still played the way they played. So, I think.
Plus, you got momentum. You got momentum now, and now with the home field advantage coming back, imagine how loud Cleveland's going to be in those home games.
Let's take this a real quick look before we go on to the next one. Let's take a real quick look. In all reality, at the end of the day, when it comes to making the playoffs, who do you have to focus on? Your own division, right? Okay. Let's take a look at this. We all know those bum Steelers are not going to go 11-0 again. We all know.
Not with Big Ben as their quarterback.
No, we all know that. So, and we all know that, we all know that the Bengals don't give a shit about their own quarterback. Sounds familiar from Green Bay. Anyway.
I just want Joe Burrow to be alive by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should have a small prayer session before the season starts for Joe Burrow and the rest of his body. Because apparently in Cincinnati, if as long as he's throwing to Jamar Chase, he'll be fine. So whatever.
Yeah.
So look, that's already two teams right away that we don't have to worry about for these Browns. So in all reality, the only team you have to worry about is Lamar Jackson and those Ravens. I think you can make a good argument that they could probably beat the Ravens. They could probably win. They could probably win out.
Do you really think that Denzel Ward can take care of Sammy Watkins? I mean, that's a tough task. That really is. Hollywood Brown's got a new number. Can we handle the passing game that is Baltimore?
I forgot about that one. I forgot.
Can't forget about Sammy Watkins.
Can't forget about Sammy Watkins. Because look, Sammy Watkins, weeks 1 through 3, and then playoff Sammy Watkins are a different breed.
Different breed.
Yeah. But let's just say the rest of the 14 weeks.
Right.
Let's just say the rest of the 14 weeks. Dude, I think you can make a pretty strong argument that they could be first seed in their division.
100%.
So, look, and then after that, who else do you have to worry about in the AFC in the playoffs? You have to worry about Buffalo. You have to worry about Kansas City, obviously.
I could put the Chargers in there.
Depending if everything lives up to hype. And maybe Miami. Maybe.
I think you're giving that division a little.
Maybe.
You should give them a little bit more credit.
Well, but look at it this way though. If we were to compare right now, put them up head to head, Browns versus Dolphins. I think we both can say the Browns have a pretty not an easy win, but they could win. They're more than likely to win.
I give it to the Browns because we don't know about Tua yet.
Okay, so that's my point. So once you get past that division, right? Once you win the division, you are in the playoffs. There's only really 2 teams you have to worry about. And if they were a touchdown away from beating the Chiefs, I think there's a pretty good chance they could beat the Bills.
That would have been a very interesting game. That would have
Right?
been perfect for 2020.
Exactly. So to cap off your point, yeah, I could see it. I really can. It's a good one.
Not only could you see it, don't you want to see it?
I do want to see it.
Yeah.
You know, because
Pulling the heartstrings on that one.
The Browns remind me of the Cubs. You know, because we all know here that I'm the bigger baseball fan out of the two. And I was so happy when the Cubs finally went to the NLCS in 2016, I'm sorry. And they were this close. This close. Close. And they lost. But then the next year they won. So no.
Brownies
Oh,
going to
oh,
Super
no.
Bowl.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Not the NLCS, the NLDS. Sorry, my bad. All right. Second prediction. There is a lot of really, really good candidates that are coming back this season from injury. Because last season was rough for star players getting injuries, right? You got a Dak, you got Joey, you got OBJ, all the big names, right? But there's one name. There's one name that I can't help but wonder why people have forgot about him. You know there's this guy named Christian McCaffrey in Carolina, right?
True.
You know there's this guy named Christian McCaffrey that technically could be argued as maybe the best running back in the league.
Valid.
Right. Okay. So why isn't he being talked about when the conversation comes up about comeback player of the year? Oh, because he's not a quarterback. That's right. Oh, that's
Okay,
right.
What do
That's
you mean,
right.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that, good sir, is that take a look at the Panthers, right? So let's see. If Christian McCaffrey put up a 1,000 yard season with half of Cam Newton and half of, who was it? Will Greer in 2019? Kyle Allen, something like that, right? And then before that, the year prior, he put up 1,000 and I think it was like 750, 800, something like that, with Cam Newton. Mind you, at the time, the only receivers they had was DJ Moore and Devin Funchess. Nice.
Shout out to Funchess. Missed that guy.
Yeah, I miss him too a little bit. But now, you got Sam Darnold. Look, you know, we'll see. We'll see about Sam Darnold. But I think Sam Darnold should improve. Can we both agree on that? We can agree on that.
Definitely.
He should
He's got
improve.
Joe Brady. Joe Brady just puts
Exactly.
just does something at quarterbacks.
Exactly. Now, you have an offense in Carolina that actually looks pretty scary. We talked about this in the last episode. You got Robbie Anderson reuniting with Sam Darnold. You got
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore, beast, right? Heavily underrated, right? And then I had it up. Their third receiver. We talked about how we completely forgot that they picked him up. I need to bring it up real quick. I can't believe I forgot it. I had it in my mind. It's right here. There he is. Terence Marshall Jr.
That's
right.
right. Yeah.
Yes, Terence Marshall Jr.
My sleeper wide receiver pick.
That's a pretty solid wide receiver core, right? You got a line that's been okay, right? Dude, you can't sit there and tell me that Christian McCaffrey is not going to come back and just annihilate the league. He's going to annihilate the league. Remember when he came back for that one game last season and he had like 200 scrimmage yards for that one game and he hurt his shoulder, didn't come back.
Right.
The man literally came back for one game and put up 200 yards. How? He's a freak of nature. My goodness. Now that Carolina's offense is that scary, don't you think he is just gonna fit in even more? Oh my god. Oh my god.
I think that
I love it.
It's going to really benefit Sam Darnold too, because he won't have to
Yes.
take those risks downfield if he doesn't feel comfortable with it. He can
Exactly.
just send it, just dump pass,
Exactly.
just a little like underneath throw to Christian McCaffrey, and just let him yards after contact. Just get the yak.
Exactly. You read my point exactly. With Robbie, he already has the trust of Robbie, right? He's got to develop it with DJ. He's got to develop it with Terence. What's the best way to help a quarterback, while he's developing that? Have a freak of nature on the flat that can juke out the whole entire team, and next thing you know, 10 seconds later, he's in the end zone. Shit, that sounds great to me.
Yeah. Plus,
Look,
you're
man.
letting him off his leash. Like, this man has been wanting to come back.
Oh my god. Oh my god. The NFC South, besides Tampa, because besides Tampa's the only good defense in that division. Well, Saints got pretty good, but compared to Tampa, not that good. The NFC South should be quaking of the fact that this guy's coming back. The whole league should be quaking. I really think he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year. I know Dak is in the conversation. I know Nick Bosa is in the conversation. I know Odell Beckham might be in the conversation. I know a lot of other players in the conversation. But it boggles my mind how this guy went 1,000, 1,000, 1,750 these last 2 seasons, and he's not in the conversation. How?
Yeah.
Where did he go? Seriously.
I made the argument, what was it, a year or two ago, where I was like, why isn't Christian McCaffrey an MVP candidate? He is genuinely the most valuable player to his team.
In 2019, he should have been a candidate. At least. Yeah. At least.
Without him, that team does nothing.
When do you hear of a running back going 1,000, 1,000 in a season?
Lamar Jackson. Got him.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he's a running back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, man.
You know what? I had completely forgotten about Christian McCaffrey.
You see my point? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you got me there.
How are
You
people
got me there.
forgetting? How are people forgetting about this freak of nature? And remember, I said it a long time on this podcast. When Christian McCaffrey got drafted to the Panthers, I was in disbelief. I thought it was a horrible move. I thought he was never going to work. I thought he was going to be traded a year or two later because they weren't going to know how to use him. I stand corrected.
Well, they know how to use
because
him.
my God, they know how to use him. They know how to utilize him. I wish he had a better team around him because he deserves more. Now it looks like he might have it. That defense needs a little more.
Oh, well.
They're getting there because they're young.
I think they'll make the divisional games way more competitive than people think.
Yeah, but
I think that's a fair assessment for the Panthers this year. They will make it competitive.
A little more.
Give them 3 years. Now I'll say
Okay.
Carolina's a solid team.
Solid team that has a solid running back. In my opinion, top 4 running back in the league. Top 5 for sure.
No. You don't have to go back that far. No, he's
there,
Alvin
right?
Kamara and Christian McCaffrey.
Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry.
I'm
Top 3,
putting
right?
them ahead
It's top
of Derrick
3,
Henry
right?
because of the versatility that they have. They can do
yeah.
everything. Derrick Henry can
Yeah.
do one thing and he does it the best. But that
Yes.
doesn't mean I would take that over Alvin or a Christian who can
Christian.
just pass, run, block. They can do everything.
If you notice, there's starting to become a trend that these teams want running backs that can do both.
They have started a new generation of running backs.
Yeah. Just like how how Lamar
Mm-hmm.
and Josh Allen have started this new trend of dual threat. It's there, right? So, like I read an article a couple months ago that Derrick Henry was working on his pass catching ability.
That's
Because
great.
he wanted. Can you imagine? Can you imagine this freak of nature at 250 pounds is already horrifying to tackle, going 22 miles an hour at you, right? Now, can you imagine if he's going 22 miles an hour, catching a ball already 20 yards down the field, maybe, or maybe 10 yards down the field, and you still have to stop him?
Mm-hmm.
No. So,
Yeah.
to end my second point, stop forgetting about Christian McCaffrey. Go in the corner. Think about what you did. Think about what you did.
Okay. Last point for me, which is a hot take. Well, I mean, I kind of gave it away on the last prediction, but and we talked about it a little bit based on the competition in the AFC. But
Cool.
I believe that the Kansas City Chiefs will not make the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think that Tampa Bay has the strongest chance of making it back. Just because they've brought back all their starters, nothing's going to change. And they peaked at the Super Bowl. Like, they brought it together at the most perfect time. What makes you think that they're going to fall down that far to not make the playoffs, to not win their division? If they're in the playoffs, they're a Super Bowl contender. They're one of the few, in my opinion. Like, they are solidified Super Bowl contenders. I know that Kansas City has rebuilt their offensive line. Because that was the one thing that really killed them at the end of the playoffs, was their offensive line was being battered. Their two starting tackles were not in the Super Bowl, and then they just left. Like, they just were gone. So they got some new guys, which were really great acquisitions. And I still think this team is really talented, but I think this is the year where we start to think that the Kansas City Chiefs, who started to get a kink in their armor last year, like, people just said, like, they're not unbeatable. It's not impossible to beat them. As long as you game plan correctly and you have great coaching, I think this team is more beatable than people think. I think this is the year where we get the humble pie for the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe not to the extent of, like, they don't make the playoffs or they play terribly. I still think they're going to win their division. They might get slept on. Like, it may be a case of the Golden State Warriors to where they just cruise by the regular season. They know they're going to make the playoffs as long as they try like 80%. As long as you get there, they're going to win and they're going to get a playoff spot. I think the Chargers may take that and take advantage of that in a way to where they tie as far as records go, and then it's based on like one or two games, and the Chargers might slip above the Kansas City Chiefs and winning the division. But either way, they're both getting playoff spots. I think that's when you start to see the competition around the Kansas City Chiefs. Now say, we've been building these teams to beat you.
Yeah.
We've been building the Cleveland Browns. We've been getting the athletic as hell linebackers and great defensive fronts to beat Patrick Mahomes. New England, who we didn't even talk about a little bit, and that's why I say, like, you should really look into the AFC North a little bit more, or the AFC East, excuse me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's just Buffalo. I don't think it's just Miami. I think New England is going to surprise a lot of people. By the end of the regular season, Mac Jones will be playing for this team as a starting quarterback.
Absolutely. I think he's coming in like week 4, week 5, honestly.
Yeah. But I think that defense comes back better than ever. I mean, we looked at that 2019 defense in New England, and that was historic. They were putting up numbers to where it was one of the best in NFL history as far as what they gave up, what they allowed, and the amount of turnovers that they got. This group this year, with a bunch of their opt-outs from last year back, still got Gilmore, still got a really solid secondary. They have an improved Van Noy's back. I love Chase Winovich. I love Kyle Duggar. These guys are coming back better in years 2 or in year whatever. And they have a pass rush now. They still have the same coach. And their offense will get better because now they have more weapons and they actually have a quarterback that they could use in the future. This New England team's really fucking good. I don't think anybody's giving them credit. So if I have the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New England Patriots in the playoffs, whether that's wild card or divisional, I'm giving the advantage to New England. I really am. Because I thought that game last year against New England, where it was ugly. I mean, it's like Brian Hoyer was the quarterback of New England at that point. But they gave Patrick Mahomes trouble. They didn't rush him. They didn't blitz him. They just put 5 corners on the field and said, try to throw. We'll have one QB spy, try to throw. And it was ugly. It was a bad game to watch, but I think that's how you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So you got Cleveland, you got New England, you got Buffalo. What else? The Chargers, I think they can really upset the Chiefs at some point this season. It's not going to be as easy. And last year, you squeezed by Cleveland at the very end. That could have easily gone Cleveland's way, and we have Buffalo versus Cleveland in the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
I am so confident that the Kansas City Chiefs will not make the Super Bowl, and I'm honestly thinking that they won't make the AFC Championship.
Wow.
I could really see a Cleveland versus Los Angeles, Cleveland versus New England, or Buffalo versus New England. I don't know. Something like that. I just don't feel it the same way this year with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. The thing about I'm starting to get this feeling that, you know how you feel that way about Bill Belichick, where it's like, oh, like, what is he doing? What are the Patriots doing? Like how I feel right now, where it's like, with my take about their offseason, that I think their offseason was a waste. It's garbage. Doesn't really look like an improvement. But it's Bill Belichick. He'll do something, right? I feel like we're getting at that stage with Patrick Mahomes, right? Where it's like, oh, but the AFC's looking tougher and tougher and tougher. But you got Patrick Mahomes, like best quarterback in the NFL right now, right? I feel like that's what we're starting to get with Patrick Mahomes. So for you to come out and say that they won't even make the championship, you think it's over?
No. How can I really explain this? Like,
because if you look at it right, you're basically saying that their defense is the thing that's gonna hold them back the most. The defenses are starting to maybe learn. They might take a playbook out of the Patriots and put those 5 corners, a spy, or different packages, right? I get that. I got your point there. But you still got all your weapons that can maybe do something, right? But now it's the defense that's causing problems. Now it's the defense that's giving up too much points. Now it's the defense that they can't stay on the field because maybe they're getting run out too much.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say it is? Do you think it's over, or do you think like, oh, this could get bad? This could get bad.
I think this is actually a good thing that could happen for the Kansas City Chiefs. Because how I always talk about like a wake-up call in a game?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think this is a wake-up season for Kansas City. That Super Bowl proved that, in general, if you don't have an offensive line, you're not going to do anything, right? So they need a better offensive line. But we also got to look into the defense, like you just mentioned. That defense was exploited. It was exposed. Yeah. And I don't know if they've done enough to really do any difference, because that argument that I made after the Super Bowl was this was like the worst case scenario for this defense, but this was always the plan. This defense is built to contain, not break. But there's going to be times where it's going to break. That's just a part of the deal, right? They don't have star-studded guys at every position. They have really talented players. But I don't know if that defensive system is built to where it's locked down like the Tampa Bay Bucks are. So when you went up against an actual great offense that is continuous pressure and will not let down on scoring, you're going to get run down. And if your offense can't score, then everyone's going to look at the defense and say, that's the problem. It's not going to matter when Patrick Mahomes is scoring 40 and you go up 35. No one's going to look at the defense and say, that defense needs to improve. As long as you can outscore the other team, which you will most cases with Patrick Mahomes, then this defense, we don't really have to worry about it. But I think this season where it's like, well, Patrick Mahomes may not have the same success and defenses are getting better, these other offenses are getting better as well. Let's say if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver and they go against the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm giving the advantage to Denver because side by side, their defenses, I give the advantage to Denver. And because you have Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes, it's a toss-up, but I'm basing it off of what defense is going to do better or not give up the most points. I think Kansas City gives up more points at that point.
Yeah.
So, like at the end of this year, we're going to look at like, wow, the Chiefs are human. Like they're not the best anymore. And then Andy Reid will be like, okay, just give me a year. And then they'll just revamp it. And not only will they give more weapons to Patrick Mahomes for some reason, but they will also get more defensive players and say, come to Kansas City. We're still a good team, right? And if we add you, let's say it's X player, John Doe, whatever, that's one of the best corners in the league, one of the best pass rushers in the league, they'll be like, actually, that's a fair point. I could really succeed in Kansas City and I could win a ring. Why not do it? It's still Kansas City. They only had one bad year. What if New England comes back this year and makes the Super Bowl? I'm just throwing hypotheticals out there. But then you can make the argument of like, well, New England took 1 year to get back to form. They had one bad year. Kansas City's just going to have one bad year and then they're going to come back.
Yeah.
That's my thought process to it. I don't think they're done. I think we just get a slice of the humble pie coming Mahomes' way.
But basically, to wrap up your point, Kansas City D sucks. Let's move on. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
All right. Well, to wrap off this episode with the last point. You know, I wouldn't say this is so much of a hot take, but from what I've been seeing, it kind of is. And I don't understand why. It shouldn't be a hot take, but it is. And honestly, I completely agree with it because I think it's a national embarrassment that it's not reasonable to some people. I don't know why. Anybody who is a football fan, anybody who is a general football fan like us, that knows not just about their team, that knows about the league in general, right? Nobody can sit there and tell me that Justin Fields will not be the week 1 starter in Chicago. You cannot be serious if you really think that they're gonna let Andy Dalton be number 1. No, dude, I can't. I can't. Okay. Let me make my point here, right? Okay. Andy Dalton had arguably, notice how I'm saying arguably, the best wide receiver trio in the NFL with CD, Michael, and Amari. Arguably. You can make a point for someone else maybe.
No, they definitely are.
Right?
They're the best
okay.
trio.
Okay. He had that. Granted, the offensive line was a little bit banged up, but they still had some games where they gave him at least some time, right? And he performed the way he did? Really? Really? Now, you on the other hand, I know you don't like this point because I know you don't like Justin Fields that much. I know that you think he's not ready yet. Whether that is true or not, I think I can speak for many people here that he will have a better chance than Andy Dalton. Dude, look at this. Come on, man. You're telling me that with an offense, David Montgomery, which turned it up the second half last season.
He was amazing.
Oh my God. He was amazing. Top 5 running back last season, right? That's where he finished?
Yeah. He quietly had a decent first half, but our expectations were underwhelming.
Oh, out of the water.
And then they just turned it up. They all did. Like Chicago turned it up at the second half of the season.
Exactly. So you got David Montgomery, you got Allen Robinson, who, my lord, has deserved to have a good quarterback for once. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Like if they didn't get Justin Fields, Allen Robinson's out of there.
Oh my God.
He really is.
Jesus. I know. Jalen Ramsey's son. Darnell Mooney. Just kidding. Kidding. I don't want Jalen Ramsey. I like Jalen Ramsey. I don't want to come after me. I'm just going for the jokes. But anyway, Darnell Mooney. Look, we both have said many times in this podcast that Darnell Mooney is a sleeper, underrated receiver.
Bro, his highlight reel is him just absolutely crossing over his corners, and then the ball's like 5 feet away from him.
Exactly.
Like that's the highlight reel.
Exactly. Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Anthony Miller. He's had his okay times, right? But the other 2 receivers is what I'm really looking at.
I'm looking at 3 great wide receivers as backups.
Demir Byrd, Marquise Goodwin, and Javon Wims.
Don't forget about Riley Reed. Oh, wait. That's Riley Ridley.
hey, you need some glasses, man? Are you good?
No, it's just a
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Anyway, Then you got Cole Kmet, who it looks like they're starting to maybe use him a little more. They're starting to understand how to use him more, right? You got a pretty good offensive line that let David Montgomery.
You still got Jimmy Graham on the roster too.
You still got Jimmy Graham as well, and you also got a pretty good offensive lineman group that can pretty much let everybody. I mean, that can let David Montgomery run everywhere, right? And then I'm sorry, how disrespectful of me! I forgot about the tiny freak Tariq Cohen. My goodness, he's coming back this season. Oh, you stop!
It's all
You
right.
stop!
I think we're just kind of like, let's ease off on the gas pedal.
You
here.
are so
Just
disrespectful.
not
Anyway,
not. I think Tariq's time is come and gone.
oh my God. Well, anyway, point being, you cannot sit there and tell me that you think it is a good idea to put in Andy Dalton, this guy that has not been relevant since like his second to last year in freaking Cincinnati, and think, oh, yeah, let's put that guy in that has horrific decision making, that overthrows everybody. Oh, that sounds like some guy we picked in 2017. Huh. Okay, yeah. Instead of Justin Fields. Come on.
I
Come
completely understand where you're coming from, because I definitely would prefer Justin Fields over Andy Dalton. This is my reasoning behind it. The Bears are gonna make decisions based off of fear. If they throw in Justin Fields in week 1, and in week 3 or 4, he's not the best, but he's also not the worst, and he starts to get booed, they're going to freak out. They're going to be like, oh my God, this was the worst decision ever. What are we doing? We should have just benched him in week 1. We shouldn't have wasted this. And then they're just going to keep going back and forth like they did last year. They're just going to put in Nick Foles. They're going to put Andy Dalton. They're just, we'll see what happens. But then if you put Andy Dalton in and he starts to struggle, then you feel forced and feel pressured to throw in Justin Fields immediately. And what if he's just not ready because he doesn't know the playbook yet? Then it's unfair to him. I want to believe in Andy Dalton for just like half the season. Just get
a season.
Half a season. If they're like a winning record, if they're above 500, and they like, okay, Andy, thanks, but this guy's confident enough, and he's got the playbook down now to where we're gonna throw him out there. Because they could get the wild card.
So basically, what Miami did with Tua this last season.
What they should have done with Tua. What they should have done with Tua is not go back and forth and do a 2-quarterback system, and then in one game we'll throw in Tua, one game we'll throw in Ryan, and then if they struggle, we'll just throw in the other. Like, no, commit. And now you only made Tua look bad because when he's on the field, he can't even throw a slant route, but he also didn't have an off season. Like, Miami just... I didn't understand. That was the one mistake they made last year. I think if they would have just stuck with one quarterback the entire way, I think they would have been fine. But they didn't. I don't want that to happen in Chicago. Just stick with one quarterback, whether that's Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, or Justin Fields. If you go with Justin Fields week 1, he better be the damn starter every fucking week. Don't give me that bullshit that, like, all right, you can obviously see that he's kind of struggling. Let's throw in Andy Dalton for a little bit. No. Make him struggle. Allow him to feel the struggles and the pressures, because that's only going to help him get better in the future. This guy only knows winning. He only won at Ohio State. He lost like 2 regular season games, or like 3 regular season games. Or no, yeah, I think he just lost like 2 or 3 total. But like, this guy had everything at Ohio State. That's why I don't think he's like ready yet, because he's been given nothing but great players around him. He's not going to have that same feeling in Chicago. He's going to lose.
Look, my thing is, my thing is this. If you had the audacity to stick with Mitchell Trubisky, and there was a point in time where I was defending Mitchell Trubisky, because there were some times, man, where he had it in him. He did. But it just never panned out. Fine. Fair enough. It is what it is. If you had the audacity to stick with him for so long, and finally this year, this past season, is the year that, okay, maybe Mitch just isn't it. If it took you 3 years, or 3.5, if you want to say, 3.5 years to stick with him, that doesn't make any sense if you don't start Justin right away. There is no logical sense of anybody telling me that Andy Dalton deserves to start week 1 over Justin Fields. It doesn't. It should not be a thought in Ryan Pace's mind. It shouldn't. How are you going to draft a quarterback, like you just said, that only knows winning because he has a great supporting cast around him? Did I just not mention a hell of a supporting cast around him as well? He has arguably a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
He has arguably a top 5 running back in the NFL. Am I right?
Right.
Does he not have a pretty much up and coming wide receiver core in Cole Kmet, Javon Wims, Marquise Goodwin, and Darnell Mooney?
And Riley Reed.
And Riley Reed. There's no argument to be made here. He should be starting week 1. He should be starting week 1. If you want to make the argument like you just said, where, maybe give him some time, a lot of teams do that. And I get it. Fine. If it happens, I won't be surprised. But it just... My favorite excuse to say with teams like this, and I said it last year, even for the Cowboys too, there's no excuse. There is literally no excuse for him to not be week 1, man. It doesn't make sense. He has everything around him. And like you said, he needs to learn. He needs to learn how to struggle. He needs to learn how to lose. Because he's in a division that could maybe give him some trouble. Well, depends if Aaron Rodgers leaves.
No.
Because Packers defense has always been bend or break, right? Well, whatever. But look, I think we could all agree that the NFC North is probably one of the biggest examples that a division game is not easy. It's always a toss-up. How is it that for some whatever reason Green Bay and Minnesota are always close when the teams aren't really that next to each other in level?
Especially last year.
Exactly. How is it that, the Lions are garbage? You could make a point that Chicago was significantly better than Detroit last year, even though that's not saying much. But still. And yet it's always a close game. For some whatever reason, Chicago likes to play Green Bay a little tough every now and then. You see what I'm saying? There's no reason. There's no logical reason why Justin Fields should not be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Week 1. Hands down.
I think I just like it when a quarterback that's still given high expectations, like Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, who were drafted high, and you're like, they're going to be the starter. Like, they are the next future quarterback of our team. Let's just be patient. Let's be patient, right? Like, Andy Reid did that, even though in his mind he knew that Patrick Mahomes is far better than Alex Smith. Far better. But he made him wait until the last game of that season, knowing that they're good, but not great. Let's see how far we can get with Alex Smith, and then if we have the opportunity, let's throw in Patrick Mahomes. And he looked great. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. It was a little different because Brett Favre was the starter, and then he got injured. All right, let's throw in Aaron. We'll see what happens. But he had plenty of time to learn the system. He had plenty of time to look and evaluate Brett Favre. That's what I want in Chicago. It's different because they don't have that time. Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy don't have that time anymore, and that's why I'm terrified for Justin Fields. That's the fear. That's the pressure of making those decisions based off of your job. If I don't put this guy in now, I may not be here next year to get him week 1 starter. Some other coach is going to be the week 1 starter in my job while Justin Fields is on the field. But this year, either I stay patient and I build a future for this team that may or may not give me a new contract, or I throw him in now and say, well, if I got fired, at least I put him in, or I kept my job because of him. That pressure is terrifying.
Okay. You made a good point. And to a certain extent, I've always agreed with, sitting a quarterback down for a year, a half a season, because, it's always good for them to learn. I completely get your point. But let me ask you this, though. Who did Patrick Mahomes sit behind? Like you just said.
Alex Smith.
We can both agree that Alex Smith was an above average quarterback in the NFL for his career, right?
Very underrated career. Yes.
Very underrated. Okay, but he was down.
He had
good,
2
right?
legs.
Had to bring it out.
Had
Who did Aaron Rodgers sit behind?
A little guy named Brett Favre.
Famer Brett Favre, right? Okay, fine, fair enough.
I see where you're going with this. Okay.
Okay.
I see.
Now, I'm not gonna go on a rant. All I'm gonna say is this: do you really put Andy Dalton at the same caliber as Alex Smith and Brett Favre that Justin Fields can learn behind?
No.
Okay.
But you forgot to mention the Super Bowl winning quarterback Nick Foles, my guy.
Nick Foles, that's right. My bad. I forgot about that guy who has a very large appendage apparently. Look, if there was a quarterback in Chicago that could teach Justin like how Alex taught Patrick and like how Brett taught Aaron, hell, by all means, please sit him the whole year. Please. So we could learn behind a grade. God, hey, Kyle Trask, congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations. Look, honestly, I don't think you were ready for the NFL. But just the fact that you got drafted by the Bucks, you're ready next year. Go for it. I don't care. God. Anyway, if that were the situation here in Chicago, by all means, please sit him. But it's not. This is do or die. And he's going to learn on the fly. A lot of quarterbacks have done it. A lot have failed. A lot have succeeded. But
that's fair. That's a good, that's a good assessment.
How could he sit and learn Andy Dalton doing the same thing Mitch Trubisky did? Is that really learning?
No.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. There's no logical argument that he should not be the week 1 starter.
Naughty.
That ain't naughty.
You teasing me. That's a fair point. I get you. Week 1 starter, Justin Fields.
Justin Fields, I'm lobbying for you, man. Love you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a good way to end it. Look at us making progress.
Look at us.
Look at us, man.
Look at us. Better than Dan Orlovsky.
But I'm not sold. I'm not sold.
You're not sold, man?
No. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening and watching this episode of the Bubble Let Sports Podcast. More of these to come, hopefully, before you start school. We'll probably do one again next week.
Don't say that. Don't remind me of that hell.
I'm sorry, before you die.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do another one. So more hot takes, more predictions as the season comes closer and closer. I got nothing else. 110 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh,
solid number.
Big baller.
Big
solid.
baller. Shot caller. Yeah.
We love that. Hopefully more as long as these episodes come out. So.
Yes. Yeah. We'll see what the future holds, but definitely during football season, it's going to be lit.
Litty, as per usual.
As per usual.
Per usual.
Thank
Big
you,
up,
Kevin.
big hex.
Thank you, Kevin, for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me once again.
And we will see you guys next time on the Bubble Let Sports Podcast.